Okay, that seems to be right. All right, hello, hello, hello. This is part 2B of Papua New Guinea because I'm still in Hagen in the Highlands at the big Sing Sing, their festival that was biannual when I was there. It was only every other year. I believe they have it every year now. This is, so go back one, and boop. Our slide machine, as you can imagine, is quite old and it doesn't like to go backwards. So we'll see. Okay, anyway, this is, I stayed with the people in the village there. It was the first time they had ever had a white person stay in the village. Most white people go and stayed in fancy resorts, but I wanted to meet the people that live there. I didn't want to stay in a resort. So the man at the airport connected me with a family that had members in various places. So I got to stay with them. Then this festival came on and I was there. So these are going to be mostly just photos of all the different costumes that people have in the festival. I'm going to read a little bit about what I wrote in my journal of my experience with the people that I met as the slides go through. So they'll be kind of together, but maybe not identical. When I first arrived, the woman that I was staying with, she was a teacher at a small school there. She took me to the school and introduced me to the students, and she had me talk to the girls. They always giggled when I said that I was from the U.S. and also when I used any words like New York or L.A. or California. They were very delighted to hear somebody talk about a place that they had heard of. I told them about my family, and then they asked me questions about the U.S. They wanted to know about movie stars. They wanted to know about nuclear bombs, if they could kill all the Earth, and if that was really true. They wanted to know if we built airplanes in the U.S. They were very curious about Disneyland. They wanted to know about women prostitutes in rich resort areas. What was cold, and what was ice and snow like. They wanted to know the price of cars. Did we really send men to the moon? And if the moon is separate from the earth. They were curious if black women marry white, if blacks and whites get along, if there were any rascals. So their word, they used rascals, and it means robbers or bad men. And they wanted to know if there were any rascals in the U.S. The women were ages 19 to 35. So they weren't children, but they also had extremely limited access to the outside world. They lived lives very simply in a lot of their huts. They had no electricity. In their homes they had no magazines or books. The school had some books, but it was very limited. These ladies were there as part of the Catholic Church's secretarial school, so they were learning to have a job skill that they could apply. There were only about 2 trucks in the village. The second day we went to this festival, it's a 2-day festival. The second day we went, we were walking along. Everywhere I went, I had to go with the locals. It benefited both of us. They were nervous that something might happen to me, although everybody was incredibly friendly. But also when they were with me, they got to have some special compensations, which was wonderful that we both benefited from it so well. We were in the pickup truck and we were going into the festival, and the police stopped us a few times, and the driver said, "I have a tourist on board, so we must get to the very front." And they let us go in, and we got to the very front. When we got there, we didn't have to pay because the ladies are teachers and students, and so the teachers and students got in free. And they said that I was one of the teachers with them. Then we went in to another area where you had to pay to watch the dancers prepare. I paid for the 2 ladies that were students to go with me because they had a lot of cultural connections. They knew a lot of different people from the communities that were there. The ladies had um, Papua New Guinea has the highest number of specific languages in a country of anywhere in the world. So some people spoke English, but a lot of them couldn't even talk to each other. They had kind of a local language, but these ladies were from different tribes and cultures, so they could help speak to them. But they also didn't have to pay very much money because they, again, were students. But they charged the women 1K, which is their monetary system, and they charged the men 2. So since the women didn't make as much money, they didn't have to pay as much to get in. These are the mud men, where they decorate their bodies with all the mud. There's one of the oils that they use, some of it is from pig, but they also use it from the Kara-O tree, which is a very viscous tree. It has a lot of oils, and they mix that with the different dirts to make colors to paint all over their skin. This Sing Sing, or festival, originally started in the 1960s. It was designed to bring peace among the different warring tribes, but now they use it to hang on to their customs, which is getting harder and harder, as you can imagine. I'm stuck. With modern times. Now we seem to be going somewhere. It's old technology, just like record players get stuck on in a thing. Let's see, and I tried an enormous different types of food when I was there. They make some bread type of biscuit made out of banana. We dug holes in the ground and put different types of sweet potatoes in there. One day we were walking through the little town. It had one main road and 3 side roads when I was there. And they had a radio station, and I put my head in the window to see what it was. The people came outside, and all of us got invited in. Miriam, the woman I was staying with, and her youngest son, firstborn as she called him, Thomas, and then her next son and one of her cousins. We all got to go in and tour the radio station. So they use obviously a lot of feathers, a lot of paint, and these are shells from the area. They're sewn onto coconut leaves from the tree. Maybe from the bark, actually. It's coconut bark, and they sew these on there. To have those are bones in their noses. Some of them didn't have bones, but they had a space already there. So to be able to have your nose pierced, they had it done when they were very, very young. Then they have something in it as they grow to keep that hole there. Some of them had actual bones, and some of them had more plastic things these days, but the holes were definitely real. This is in the highlands, which is in the mountains. And all of these people came. There's one group that came. They have no roads in or out of their village. They either have to hike through the mountains or they have to leave by airplane. They were the ones that had traveled the furthest to get here. These drums have either a leopard skin on the top, or they have the couscous skin, which is a really cute animal. It's a relative of the possum. They use their fur to make the bilums, which is a bag that the ladies carry as a strap across their forehead, and then it comes down the back. It's very strong. It's made with plant yarn, and then from the animal fur intertwined in it. And they carry their babies in those bags and all their food and gear. One of the dances is with the young girls. They are mimicking drunk men when then the men go into fighting. Only the men really drink in Papua New Guinea. The women do, but very, very frequently. Again, this is all now, which is almost ancient. It was from the 1980s. Incredibly decorated, all of it very unique. So the groups in the different communities and tribes, they would have somewhat similar outfits, but they are individually decorated, so they aren't all identical. Plus, some of the colors stand for different things. Like one of the men that put the paint on, the black is for warriors, the red is for older men, and the yellow is for initiates. This is one of my favorite pictures. I just love this woman. She has such a warrior's fierce look, so much strength and determination, and such great body language. I just love this image of that person. It's fascinating to know what she's doing these days. Look how white his teeth are. Amazing. That's one of the mud men. They cover their bodies all over with mud. Then they use all the grass to cover as for their decoration. And in the next shot, you'll see that they actually, whoops, that was the one before. This, what I love is the skirts that they have on are the same as the thatched roof. Same material. Another mud man, one man. All these feathers that they have are from local birds because it is a tropical area. It's a rainforest. So they have, plus they have 13,000 feet mountains, and then they're at sea level. So you have a huge variety of wildlife. We use them all. The costumes obviously are decorated every aspect of their body. Like the backs are covered in it. They have arm bands. This is a tree bark that person is wearing. Those shells, I believe, are coconut shells. I think that's what they have to be. So the trees grow in a lot of places in New Guinea. We had some coconut rice one time. It was so delicious. They just take the coconut, brown coconut, and put water, shred the meat, strain it, and they use that as the water to cook the rice. Let's see if there's anyone else in here. They all shake your hands when they meet. They shake hands with each other. One day, I was staying in the village, and one of the ladies was down below it, and she wanted to come up and say hello, but her hands were really dirty, and so she was kicking her feet and jumping sideways and everything, and I don't know what she was saying because I didn't understand the language. But Miriam, my host, said, well, wait a minute, and so she washed her hands, and then she came running up and shook my hand and hugged me. They were so excited I was staying with them, but I wanted to get to know them. I mean, that's one of the things about traveling. I think the more you're able to open yourself up to the people that live there, the more you're going to get something authentic. It does mean you don't necessarily have any idea what you're getting into. It can't be pre-planned. This trip was completely spontaneous. When I arrived in Papua New Guinea, I realized that I wanted to go see the country, and people didn't look terrified, and I didn't think they were going to kill me, which is what I'd been told in Australia. So I went up to the airport desk and asked the person on the other side, I said, I want to go see your country. How much is it going to cost? And he connected me with his family that gave me these amazing opportunities. These are nuts. There's the shells, like if you were to have a walnut shell or a pecan shell. These are the shells from, this might be that careo tree. I can't remember which tree it's from, but they make a lot of decorations with them. I believe this is where they were putting one of the headdresses together, or at least it's the way it traveled there, because you can see it's got the wooden stand at the bottom. it's a very modest country. The men hold hands together and the women hold hands together, but opposite sex do not ever do that because it's considered inappropriate. You don't really show any affection. One time at the festival, when I was with the younger students, there was a couple there. She was from probably Australia, and she was with a Highlands man, and she put her hand on his shoulder, and the girls just started giggling because it was so distasteful that they were in physical contact with each other. That's another very decorated, beautiful kundu drum. One single tree trunk. All right, that's the end of part. Well, actually, there are a few more slides, so I might come back in a minute, but that's mostly the mountain trip.